It's like, this is a really weird way to say it, is that, you know, people feel like they feel something whenever they touch another person. And I remember, like, whenever I first had, like, a girlfriend and stuff, I always hoped that I would feel that way, but it just felt the same to me as touching, like, a chair. Like, I never really felt anything, like, being around or anyone. And I realized that, like, you know, again, I'm like an animal or something. Like, I don't even know. Something like, I don't even know.
Who isn't a fan of Asmongold? Like, honestly, I feel like you can be a fan of any type of YouTube genre, and you're gonna watch Asmongold and come out and be like, ah, you know, honestly, he's a cool guy. I've been watching Asmongold for around over 2 years. Every time I'm doing something, I'll just put on a long video of his and have him as background sound. This guy gets crazy amount of views. I mean, he knows how to milk the YouTube algorithm. He is a god. He is a slob god. Many people, not just me, think he's smart, he's a wise person. That doesn't mean he doesn't have issues. He is also human, he has problems. People tend to see that he's a dirty person with a dirty house who doesn't take care of himself and all of this other stuff, and they don't understand why he is like that. When obviously there's a darker meaning behind the whole reason he is like that. And in this video, we're gonna try to get to the bottom of this. A little context on why I actually found out all this stuff. I was watching an Asmongold reaction video called The Asmongold Rabbit Hole. It was a great video up until the minute mark, 1 hour and 23 minutes and 55 seconds. Here, Asmongold got really real for like 13 minutes. And I just want to dissect this video with you guys. Please, if you enjoy this video, make sure to give it a like. I'm a new up-and-coming YouTuber, and I'm learning the game, guys. Thank you.
The beginning.
I mean, I think for me is... like, the reason I started living like that is that, like, growing up, like, I always felt like I wasn't really a normal person. I wasn't really a person. I was like an animal, right? Or like some sort of like in between an animal and a person.
Now, obviously, after just watching that clip, you probably think he's just kidding. It makes sense. When I was watching it, I thought he was kidding. The chat made jokes, but listen to this.
Because I just felt like I never really connected with people. People didn't really like me a lot. And like, you know, and like, no, really, right? I wouldn't be able to like interact with people with furry. No, like, I think a good way to explain it is like a homunculus or like a golem, right? It's like you look like a person, you act like a person, but you're not really a person.
Disassociation is a mental process that can involve a range of experiences from mild attachment to more severe disconnection. Disassociation is when someone feels disconnected from their thoughts, feelings, memories, or sense of identity. I'm not saying Asmongold has this, or maybe he has a slight sense of it, but it sounds like he has something like disassociation.
That's always the way that I felt about myself, like growing up, because of how much, like I had like a number of like pretty weird friction points growing up where it was like kind of a shock for me to see like kind of how much different I was than other people. And I think that after doing that, and then growing, also, like, I didn't really get along, like, you know, never had girls like me. I didn't really have, like, the normal, like, you know, like, I guess, growing up experience that a lot of people did.
Now, right here, I'm a little confused. Is Asmongold saying he was trying, he wasn't dirty, he was clean, and it was still hard to, like, keep a girlfriend and everything?
And I was always treated quite badly in that respect, too. And I thought to myself, like, well, you know, if I live this way, and... even despite living this way, like, people don't like me and I still feel like shit, and people still, like, you know, don't want to be around me and don't like me, what's the point of trying to take care of yourself? What's the point of trying to do this?
So he's saying he did take care of himself. He was clean, but still people didn't like him or care about him, which may have led to the reason for his disassociation.
Like, why am I trying to fix myself if the fixed version of myself, people don't want it anyway? People never liked me anyway, so who cares? For yourself, I don't care about myself. That's not important to me. What was mattered to me is the way people see me. Like, and I will tell you how much that's true.
This next part to me is just wild.
I have these side of my teeth fixed because I usually look at my monitor from this side. My teeth here are missing because I never felt like fixing those because people don't see that a lot on camera, so it's not that big of a deal. That's the only reason that one side of my teeth is fixed and the other one isn't.
The sheer laziness and ability to not care and just let your teeth rot out, to me, is one of the most wildest statements. And even though I love Asmongold, it is actually sad to me because obviously he's not going to get those teeth back.
It's because this is the side I usually am seen on camera. That's it. Unless it isn't content, Brian. Yeah, exactly, right?
When I hear him read that chat, it's almost like he's trying to disguise like the dark, messed up stuff he's talking about by reading something funny. It's disturbing, kind of.
And you can see it all the time. Yeah, I probably should get it fixed. I might do that at some point. But no, I live like a degenerate. I live like an animal. And I think that it took me a long time to, like, because it was weird, right, growing up. And especially, like, having a lot of the... like I had like friends that like were able to go forward and like do things in their life that, you know, I was very like I was envious of, right? It's like I growing up, like I had to help my mom, like I had to take a lot of like my student loan money and like any money that I made and like give all that money to her.
Here's where he starts to get really open with like the backstory of the fucked up shit of his life. And honestly, this is what made me want to make this video.
Because like she wasn't getting a job. And like, if I didn't do that, then she'd be homeless. And I mean, how could I take care of her, right? And so I had to do that. And so I couldn't really go out and live a life the way that, you know, I think a lot of other people like would naturally want to, right? I couldn't go out and do, you know, live in an apartment with like other friends of mine. I couldn't go and, you know, have different types of experiences that, you know, people had growing up. And, you know, then my teeth started falling out and it's like everything in my life was awful, right? Is he making this up? No, I mean, I wish. I mean, you can go back and look at the videos yourself, right? I mean, like, I mean, I've recorded everything in my life, right? It's not like it's a big secret. Effective relationships as well. Yeah, exactly. Like, I couldn't really have a girlfriend because, like, I was dealing with this. And then I had other issues. I didn't have money to go out or do anything. And so, yeah, it's never good enough. No, yeah, and that's it. And so that happened a lot. And it got to the point to where, like, I had to... Because I cared a lot about what people thought about me when I was like I would say, how old was I? Maybe like I would say 15 and under, right? Something like that, 15 and under. I really cared a lot about it.
He starts talking about when he stopped caring about everything.
And then growing up, I realized that people would never really... It doesn't matter like what clothes I wear, how I act, anything like that. People are never going to like me, right? It's not like, you know, I can convince people that I'm not what I am. So I stopped giving a fuck. And so my entire life, I think, has been, in a lot of cases, a process of caring about less things as possible, right? Where it's like, you know, growing up, I've had to stop caring about the way that people felt about me and how people perceived me. Then, you know, having to deal with like my mom and then like my dad getting like super fucking sick. I had to like try to disconnect and like, you know, come to terms with the fact that like I'm gonna lose and you know, have everybody around me die, right? And that already happened with my mom. And so that was really awful, and it was hard for me to come to terms with that, and I still haven't really entirely. And like now I'm getting older, right? And I'm, you know, I see my friends of mine as like, you know, getting gray hair and you know, I sometimes I get afraid of like kind of getting older and dying, but I try not to think about it as much anymore or care anymore because it doesn't like, there's nothing like you can do about it. It doesn't make a difference. Like balding, yeah, balding, absolutely. You know, my friend came over yesterday, completely fucking bald. Yeah, exactly. And so I had that happen. And so I had to, like, now I'm kind of much more in the process of trying to just, you know, separate myself from, like, the way I look or anything like that, like my self-image. Like, I try not to, and this is, like, something that happened, like, when I lost my teeth, right? Because, like, losing your teeth and, like, having all your teeth falling out and, like, rotting whenever you're, like, you know, ages, like, 20 to, like, 25, right? That's, like, insanely bad. Like people look at you and they're just like, it's disgusting. And it was, because it is disgusting.
He starts to get into a little bit more about his feelings and the feelings of disassociation.
So it's like you have to develop a certain degree of like, you know, like you can look in a mirror and you can see yourself, but like you think about it as like it's like an intellectual perspective where it's like you don't really see yourself as like, you don't have an emotional attachment to the way that you look or the, you know, like what you are. And I felt like I had to develop that a lot in my life. And then now I'm even having to do that with myself as an individual because obviously I'm getting older. I've had like issues with my back, etc. And I've been very lucky, right, that nothing else like that has happened. But, you know, like learning to let go of yourself is a pretty hard thing to do. But yeah, no, and there's a lot more to it, right? And like experiences I've had, you know, growing up especially. And so I try not to think about it or care at all, because I think in the end it doesn't really matter, right? I mean, I don't, like, I'm not a big believer in like an afterlife or anything like that. I think that's all just bullshit that people tell themselves so they can feel better about, you know, the fact that, you know, people are just fucking nothing, right? It's just meat. And so, yeah, that's the way I've seen it.
Here is one of the funniest clips of the video, guys. He's talking about some messed up stuff in the dark reality he's seen while he's just cracking up a Pepsi. It's hilarious.
And I have a very dark outlook on life and pretty much everything. And I think that the more that I explain my perspective of things, the darker it gets. And so I think a lot of those things contributed to like the way that I live. And so yeah, I think that's a lot of the reasons why I did it. It's not a crude matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's whatever, right? But that's the way it happens. You're dark and kind of real. No, I try to be realistic about it as much as possible. And do you believe in God? No, it's fake. It's possible, right? It's definitely possible. I just don't think it's happening. Like, I don't think there's any proof for it. Growing up, I always assumed that I would die alone because of how weird I am.
I'm gonna end it off with the craziest and creepiest clip of this video. If you enjoyed the video, just make sure to like and subscribe, guys.
I guess like this is a really weird way to say it, is that, you know, people feel like they feel something whenever they touch another person. And I remember like whenever I first had like a girlfriend and stuff, I always hoped that I would feel that way, but it just felt the same to me as touching like a chair. Like I never really felt anything like being around or anyone. And I realized that like, you know, again, I'm like an animal or something. Like I don't even know. And so, yeah, I figure, fuck it, I might as well live like an animal too. So it's fucking hilarious? I know.
It's really not funny, but his smile just makes me laugh. I don't know.
I know, I don't even, yeah, that's the way it is. And when based women are chairs. Well, hey, you know, like, there it is. Try touching a dude. It's a good one. I like that. And I've internalized a lot of people enjoy your content. No, that's fine. I know that people like me. Right, yeah, of course. Your extreme case. Yeah. No, that's the way I see it too. And, yeah, it was a very, very weird realization. I remember I was like in 6th grade whenever I started to like really realize that about myself. And like, again, I think that it's a, it's like if you think of an onion, there are just like more and more layers of it. And the more layers, the worse it gets. So that's basically it. There's a reason why I'm in my house that has mold and garbage and animals everywhere, living in mold, trash, blood on the wall. And this is just the way I, by myself with the doors locked.
Yep. Obviously, Asmongold has gone through some crazy stuff in his life that we probably don't know about. And it kind of reminds me of that 8 Mile scene where he's like, you don't know what the fuck I've been through.